Hello everyone and welcome to our video lesson series for English File 4th edition Intermediate. Whether you're learning English for work, travel or just for fun, this course is designed to help you build confidence and fluency. Today we're diving into Unit 5, Part B, #thewaywemet. In today's lesson we will talk about different kinds of relationships, how people meet and how friendships work. Here is the plan for today's lesson. First, reading and listening, predicting stories. You will read the beginnings of 2 true love stories from Instagram. First, you guess how the stories might end. Then you read to find out how the 2 women met their partners. Finally, you will listen to a 3rd story about how a man met his wife. Then, grammar. Number 2. You will focus on the grammar from the stories you just heard. You will learn and practice how to talk about past habits and states using used to. For example, I used to be a teacher. You will also compare this with how to talk about present habits using usually. For example, I usually go to bed early. Part number 3, pronunciation and speaking the sound of S. You will practice the different ways to pronounce the letter S in English. It can sound like S, Z, Sh, or J. You will also practice saying used to correctly. Then you will use a new grammar to speak about your own past and present habits. Then part number 4, vocabulary, relationship words. You will learn key words and phrases to talk about relationships, like partner, colleague, close friend, get to know, fall in love, and break up, and something like that. You will then use these words to talk about a close friend. Part number 5, listening, friendship facts. You will listen to a radio program about friendship. You will check some interesting facts and listen for the reasons and examples that support them. Part number 6, speaking, your opinion on friendship. There you will see kind of a couple or 6 debatable statements, and you will need to discuss them by using like I agree with it, I disagree with it, or I partly agree because, and then explain your opinion. Okay, I think everything's clear. Let's get started. Part number 1, reading and listening. A. How do you think people usually meet friends and partners nowadays? Number the phrases 1 to 5. 1. The most popular. Then compare with a partner. Do you agree? A. At work. B. At school or university. C. Online, for example on forums, social networking sites, and etc. D. In a bar, club, etc. E. Through friends. So, look at the 5 places or ways to meet people, A to E. Think about how common each one is today. Write numbers 1 to 5 next to the phrases. 1. The most popular, the most common way you think people meet friends or partners, and 5, the least popular, common way. And then try to say why you think so. And then I'm going to say my opinion. Okay, now I'm going to share my opinion on this. Well, I think number 1 for me is at school or university, because if you're sociable enough, you can easily make friends there. I'm sure most people still have friends they've known since their students' days, and personally I met a lot of wonderful people when I was studying, and I'm still in touch with them. When it comes to partners, I know maybe 4 or 5 couples who started dating during their student life. It's the most common way, in my opinion, old but gold. Okay, second place. It goes to through friends, I think. A friend of my friend is my friend, yeah? That's how it usually works, I suppose. Being introduced by a mutual friend removes the social barrier. Immediately you can start chatting, discussing things, and asking questions right away. And for partners, I think you're more likely to trust someone if your friends already know them well, so that can sometimes lead to something bigger. Okay, third place, online. Don't be surprised I didn't put it in the first place because I'm talking about both making friends and finding partners. I don't really know anyone who makes friends online, Most people still think that's a bit weird. The exception might be through multiplayer games. You can meet people there. As for partners, yes, it's probably the most common way for people who don't have an active social life. Maybe they're not at university anymore and don't have much time to go out. And in my own case, actually, I met my wife online through a dating app. But I think that was mostly kind of luck or a coincidence because dating apps are like a casino. You can meet someone special, but it's very rare and not easy. Okay, fourth place, in a bar, club, etc. I think when people are relaxed and in the mood to chat, it helps break the ice. I guess it's possible to make friends or look for partners there. The idea itself isn't perfect, yeah? Bars and clubs are specific places, Still, they're okay. Personally, I wouldn't look for friends or partners in places like that, but I can't say that it's wrong. And finally, at work. Surprise, surprise. I don't know, maybe it's a common way to meet new people, but I feel like in most cases, your colleagues will be much older or much younger than you, which can make it harder to connect. And honestly, I don't know anyone who's made close friends at work or found a long-term partner there. So that's my take. Maybe your list looks totally different and that's fine. Okay, let's just move on. B. Read the beginning of 2 stories which appeared on Instagram #thewaywemet. Where did Tiffany and Christina meet their partners for the first time? Okay, read the start of 2 Instagram stories under this hashtag and answer this question. Where did Tiffany and Christina first meet their partners? So you started like this. Tiffany met her partner, and Christina met her partner, So good luck with this task. The way we met. Tiffany's story. 3 years ago, I stopped at the supermarket on my way home from work to get some food. After checking out, I walked out of the store and pressed the unlock button on my car keys to open my white Jeep Cherokee. But as I got nearer, I noticed the rear door on the passenger's side was already open, and there was a guy standing beside it. At first, I thought he was trying to steal my car or rob me, but when I got a little nearer, I noticed he was actually unloading his shopping into the car. I was scared. I went up to him nervously and said, hi. He said, hi, and looked at me in surprise while he continued to unload his shopping. Then I said, this is my car. He laughed at me as if I was crazy and replied, no, it isn't. It's mine. So I pressed the lock button on my car keys to show him that it was definitely my car. His face turned white. Christina's story. I came to New York to do a master's degree in creative writing. Matt was a personal trainer, and he was studying for his doctorate in Chinese medicine at another university in New York. At the time, I used to do a lot of running. I'd run 2 marathons, and I started to get really bad back pain. I saw lots of doctors, and they all said different things, like, do yoga, and maybe you need an operation. None of them knew what was wrong. The final one suggested acupuncture, so I thought I'd try it as a last resort. When I walked into the clinic for the session, I saw Matt. He was the acupuncturist. The moment we looked into each other's eyes, we connected. But he didn't ask me out. He was very professional. On my last session, I asked him how old he was. He said he'd be 29 the following week, but that he wasn't going to celebrate because he had to study. Let's take a look at the answers. Where did Tiffany and Christina meet their partners for the first time? Tiffany met her partner in a supermarket car park, and Christina met her partner in an acupuncture clinic. And I'm gonna say, well, why? So Tiffany, she was in the parking lot of a supermarket. She saw a man putting shopping into a car that looked exactly like hers. And this happened after she left the supermarket. What about Christina? She went to an acupuncture clinic because she had back pain from running. There she saw Matt, who was the acupuncturist. Something like that. Part C. Read the stories again. Write T. Tiffany or K. Christina. The first time she met her partner, she saw him from a distance. Felt a bit frightened. Had moved away from her hometown. Had a problem with her health. Was immediately attracted to him. And felt that he didn't understand her. Okay, so read the two stories again, but this time more carefully. Look at the 6 sentences, 1 to 6. Each one describes what a woman did or felt the first time she met her partner. And decide which woman each sentence describes. Write T for Tiffany or K for Christina next to each number 1 to 6. And keep it in mind that you will use each letter more than once, of course. Okay, good luck with this task. The way we met. Tiffany's story. 3 years ago, I stopped at the supermarket on my way home from work to get some food. After checking out, I walked out of the store and pressed the unlock button on my car keys to open my white Jeep Cherokee. But as I got nearer, I noticed the rear door on the passenger's side was already open, and there was a guy standing beside it. At first, I thought he was trying to steal my car or rob me, but when I got a little nearer, I noticed he was actually unloading his shopping into the car. I was scared. I went up to him nervously and said, hi. He said, hi, and looked at me in surprise while he continued to unload his shopping. Then I said, this is my car. He laughed at me as if I was crazy and replied, no, it isn't. It's mine. So I pressed the lock button on my car keys to show him that it was definitely my car. His face turned white. Christina's story. I came to New York to do a master's degree in creative writing. Matt was a personal trainer, and he was studying for his doctorate in Chinese medicine at another university in New York. At the time, I used to do a lot of running. I'd run 2 marathons, and I started to get really bad back pain. I saw lots of doctors, and they all said different things, like, do yoga, and maybe you need an operation. None of them knew what was wrong. The final one suggested acupuncture, so I thought I'd try it as a last resort. When I walked into the clinic for the session, I saw Matt. He was the acupuncturist. The moment we looked into each other's eyes, We connected. But he didn't ask me out. He was very professional. On my last session, I asked him how old he was. He said he'd be 29 the following week, but that he wasn't going to celebrate because he had to study. The answers are coming. Number 1. Tiffany. Actually, Tiffany first saw the man from a distance while walking towards her car in the parking lot. Like, I noticed there was a guy standing beside it. Number 2. Also Tiffany. She felt scared because she thought the man might be trying to steal her car or rob her. Yeah? I thought he was trying to steal my car. I was scared. Number 3. Christina. Christina had moved to New York to study. She was not in her hometown. I came to New York to do a master's degree. 4. Christina. She had very bad back pain from running and went to the clinic to get help. I started to get really bad back pain. 5. Christina. She says she connected with Matt the moment they looked into each other's eyes. The moment we looked into each other's eyes, we connected. It was the exact quote from the text. And finally, Tiffany. Tiffany tried to tell the man it was her car, but he laughed and didn't believe her. He laughed at me as if I was crazy. No, it isn't, it's mine. Something like that. Okay, so there were the answers. Let's move on. Now let's try something interesting, I would say. Try to guess how you think these two stories might end. I know it might sound a little strange. Maybe you'll think like I have no idea, and that's totally fine. After you make your guesses, you'll read and listen to the second part of each story. Your task will be to follow the details and understand what really happened. So for now, just read and listen carefully. That's it. After that, I'm going to translate these two stories for you. Tiffany's story. His face turned white. He apologized and explained that he had exactly the same white Jeep Cherokee. Then he clicked the lock button on his own keys. He realized that his car was parked right next to mine, and he had opened the wrong car door by mistake. We both just started laughing. I said, "You can leave your food though. I'll be happy to take it home." He answered, "Only if you will make dinner for me with it." A few days later, I made him dinner at my place, and the rest is history. People don't always believe us when we tell them our story, but nobody could make this story up. Christina's story. He wasn't going to celebrate because he had to study. I sent Matt an email. "You should come to dinner with me on your birthday." He didn't answer for 2 days. Then I got a message. "I'd love to come to dinner with you." And that's how it all started. Now we've both finished studying. We are traveling to China to celebrate our graduations, and this summer we're planning to rent a flat together. And you remember I was studying creative writing? Well, Matt's surname is Tolstoy. He was obviously the man for me. Ну и теперь, куда ж без этого, переведем данные истории. Получится немножко разрозненно, но думаю, это не проблема. Начнем мы с Тиффани. 3 года назад я остановилась около супермаркета по пути домой с работы, чтобы, купить немного еды. В этом значении get выступает как купить. После checking out, имеется в виду после оплаты, это после всего на кассе, я подошла или вышла из магазина и нажала, то есть кнопку разблокировать на ключах моей машины. Или да, на ключах от моей машины, чтобы открыть мой белый джип Чероки. Но как только я подошла ближе, я заметила, что задняя дверь на пассажирской стороне была уже открыта, и там был мужчина, стоящий, то есть сбоку от этого. Beside — это как аналог next to, сбоку от двери. Сначала я подумала, что он пытался украсть мою машину или ограбить меня. Но когда я подошла немножко поближе, я заметила, что он вообще-то распаковывал покупки в машину, или складывал покупки в машину. Я была напугана. Так, go up — это подойти, то есть я подошла к нему нервно и сказала «Здрасте», или «Привет». Он сказал «Привет» и посмотрел на меня в удивлении. И в то самое время он продолжал распаковывать его, или складывать его покупки. Затем я сказала, вообще-то, или это моя машина. Он посмеялся надо мной, посмеялся в лицо, как будто я была сумасшедшая, и ответил, нет, не ваша машина, это моя. И так, и вот я нажала, получается, кнопку «Заблокировать» на своей машине, на своих ключах, чтобы показать ему, что это была определенно моя машина. И его лицо побледнело. То есть turned white стало, то есть превратилось в белое. Так. Теперь по поводу Christina's story. Здесь смотрим следующее. Так. Я приехала в Нью-Йорк, чтобы, соответственно, получить бакалавра, так скажем. Имеется в виду, что получить высшее образование, писателя. Creative writing, то есть, дословно как креативное написание, то есть стать писателем по-другому. Мэтт был, то есть, личным или персональным тренером, и он учился на свою докторскую в китайской медицине в другом университете в Нью-Йорке. В это же время, в то время, я очень много бегала. И я вот тогда пробегала аж по 2 марафона. И у меня началось, как то здесь перевести, я начала чувствовать очень, сильную боль в спине. То есть, смотрите, get really bad back pain, то есть боль в спине очень сильную. Я уже видел, имеется в виду, посетила множество докторов, и они все сказали разные вещи. По типу, занимайся йогой, а может быть, вам нужна операция, и так далее. Но никто из них не знал, что было со мной не так. The final one, то есть самый последний доктор, предложил вот это вот иглоукалывание. Поэтому я подумала, попробую я это, as a last resort, это в качестве последней надежды, последнее пристанище, то есть это по сути, последняя надежда, можно вот так вот перевести, as a last resort. Когда я вошла в клинику на сессию, то есть имеется в виду иглоукалывание, я увидела Мэтта. Он был иглоукольщиком, так сказать, человеком, который этим занимается. В тот момент, когда мы посмотрели друг другу в глаза, мы как бы connected, имеется в виду, соединились, дословно. Но he didn't ask me out, имеется в виду, он не позвал меня на свидание. Он был очень профессиональным. И на моем последнем приеме я спросила его, сколько ему лет тогда было. Он сказал, что ему будет 29 лет на следующей неделе. But that he wasn't going to celebrate. Но он не собирался отмечать этот день рождения, потому что ему нужно было учиться. Или он должен был учиться. Так, теперь продолжение этих историй. Начнем также с Тиффани. Его лицо побледнело. Он извинился и объяснил, что у него точно такая же, exactly the same, то есть точно такая же машина, то есть точно такой же белый джип Чероки. Затем он кликнул кнопку, получается, разблокировать, или вот эту кнопку на своих ключах от машины, и он осознал, что его машина была припаркована прямо, рядом с моей. И то, что он открыл, то есть wrong car door, то есть не ту дверь машины, то есть случайно или по ошибке. Мы оба начали смеяться. То есть я сказала, Ну, ты можешь, конечно, оставить свою еду, хотя было бы неплохо, если бы я забрала ее домой. Он ответил, ну, только если ты сделаешь ужин для меня, ну, из этой еды. Несколько дней позже я, получается, так и приготовил ему ужин в моем месте, то есть у себя дома, и the rest is history. А вот оставшаяся часть — это история. Люди не всегда верят нам, когда мы рассказываем им нашу историю, но никто бы эту историю не выдумал, если так можно писать. То есть эту историю нельзя было выдумать. Так, здесь у нас есть story, history. History имеется в виду, то есть какая-то прошлая история, долго тянущаяся, а story — это просто история знакомства. Здесь вот такие моменты отметить. Ну и слово the rest здесь не в значении отдых, а в значении остальное, оставшееся. Дальше. Кристина story. Он не собирался отмечать свой день рождения, потому что ему надо было учиться. Я послала Мэтту письмо электронное. Может, вам стоит прийти на ужин со мной на свой день рождения? Он не отвечал в течение 2 дней. Затем я получила сообщение: а я бы хотел прийти поужинать с тобой. И это то, как все началось. Теперь мы оба закончили учиться. Мы, то есть, скоро будем путешествовать, или мы едем в Китай, чтобы отметить наши выпуски. То есть graduations — это выпуски из университета. И этим летом мы планируем снимать квартиру вместе. И вы помните, что я изучала, получается, как быть писателем, то есть писательское искусство. То есть, получается, фамилия Мэтта Толстой. Это он был, очевидно, вот the man с этим артиклем, то есть тот самый мужчина, которого она, видать, искала, тот самый мужчина для меня. То есть вот такие вот истории. Ну что ж, надеюсь, стало теперь понятно с некоторыми словами. Давайте идти дальше. Part E. Think of a couple you know well, for example, your parents or friends. How did they meet? Do you know any couples who met in unusual circumstances? Circumstances, a new word. How do you explain it? It's the context or the situation or how someone met someone else. I don't know. It can be maybe a special moment, a strange conversation, an event, the setting of the story. And there are some prompts or sentence starters. I'd like to talk about my parents, friends, grandparents. They met? Actually, I know a couple who met in a very unusual way. One interesting story is about they first met when. I'm not sure about unusual couples, but I know my met at or in. And a funny way they met was something like that. Okay. I'll tell you about my parents. I'm not sure if I would say that the circumstances were really unusual, but there was something special about it. It was at a wedding. My dad's best friend was marrying my mom's cousin, and my dad says he fell in love with my mom at first sight. There was this one unpleasant moment, though. Someone said something unkind about my mom, and my dad got up and said, "That's enough, I'm leaving." And he took my mom outside for a walk to calm her down. He fixed the situation and took care of her. Soon after that, they started going out and became a couple. It's a kind of nice story, especially for this lesson to say. So, what about you? Can you share something about a couple you know? Do the same as I did. Part 2. Grammar, past and present habits and states. A. Listen to John talking about how he met his partner. Where did they meet? Was it a romantic meeting? So you just listen to John talk about how he met his partner, and you answer these 2 questions. Where did they meet? And was it a romantic meeting?
5.15.
Well,
I used to be a teacher and I taught English to adults in Indonesia for a few years. And I met my wife there, in the school that I was working in. She was a student at the school, not my class, I should point out, just a student at the school. And one day in the corridor, I was walking to class and she was running through the corridor because she was late for class. She didn't used to be very punctual in those days. And she crashed into me. And I was on my way to class, so I was carrying a whole load of things, and I dropped all my books, all my papers, all my pens. They went all over the floor. And did she help me to pick them up? Nope. She just ran off, laughing. She thought it was very funny. So you could say it wasn't love at first sight. But we became friends after that, and we sometimes used to have tea or a beer together. And after being friends for, I think, 3 years, we got together, became boyfriend and girlfriend, and then a few years later, we got engaged, and then we got married. And now we've been married for 12 years.
Oh, let's do it quite short. Where did they meet? They met in a school corridor in Indonesia. Was it a romantic meeting? No, it wasn't romantic. Part B. Listen again, mark the sentences true or false, and correct the false sentences. 1. John was teaching English in Indonesia. 2. His future wife was one of his students. 3. She usually arrived for her classes on time. 4. John was carrying a lot of things to class. 5. She made him drop them. 6. She helped him to pick them up. 7. They were friends for a long time before going out together. And 8. They've been married for 10 years. So listen to the audio again. Read the 8 sentences. After listening, write T if sentence is true or F if it's false. If a sentence is false, write or say the correct information next to it.
5.15.
Well, I used to be a teacher and I taught English to adults in Indonesia for a few years. And I met my wife there, in the school that I was working in. She was a student at the school, not my class, I should point out, just a student at the school. And one day in the corridor, I was walking to class and she was running through the corridor because she was late for class. She didn't used to be very punctual in those days. And she crashed into me. And I was on my way to class, so I was carrying a whole load of things, and I dropped all my books, all my papers, all my pens. They went all over the floor. And did she help me to pick them up? Nope. She just ran off, laughing. She thought it was very funny. So you could say it wasn't love at first sight. But we became friends after that, and we sometimes used to have tea or a beer together. And after being friends for, I think, 3 years, we got together, became boyfriend and girlfriend, and then a few years later, we got engaged, and then we got married. And now we've been married for 12 years.
Answers for Part B. 1. True. John was teaching English in Indonesia. And, as it was in the audio, well, I used to be a teacher and I taught English to adults in Indonesia for a few years. I think it's clear. Number 2. False. She was a student at the school but not in his classes. She was a student at the school? Not in my class. I should point out, just a student at the school. 3. F. False. She wasn't usually very punctual. She didn't used to be very punctual in those days. It means that she was late a lot. 4. True. John was carrying a lot of things to class. So, I was carrying a whole load of things, as he said. Number 5. True. She made him drop them. And she crashed into me and I dropped all my books, all my papers and my pens, so it's true. Number 6. False. She ran off laughing. And did she help me to pick them up? Nope. She just ran off laughing. Something like that. And number 7, true. They were friends for a long time before going out together. And we became friends after that. After being friends for, I think, 3 years, we got together. And finally, false. They've been married for 12 years. And now we've been married for 12 years, not 10 years. And that's all. Okay, good job. Now, moving on.
5.15.
Well, I used to be a teacher and I taught English to adults in Indonesia for a few years. And I met my wife there, in the school that I was working in. She was a student at the school, not my class, I should point out, just a student at the school. And one day in the corridor, I was walking to class and she was running through the corridor because she was late for class. She didn't used to be very punctual in those days. And she crashed into me. And I was on my way to class, so I was carrying a whole load of things, and I dropped all my books, all my papers, all my pens. They went all over the floor. And did she help me to pick them up? Nope. She just ran off, laughing. She thought it was very funny. So you could say it wasn't love at first sight. But we became friends after that, and we sometimes used to have tea or a beer together. And after being friends for, I think, 3 years, we got together, became boyfriend and girlfriend, and then a few years later, we got engaged, and then we got married. And now we've been married for 12 years.
Итак, переведем. Ну, здесь это просто слово паразит, я был когда-то учителем и обучал английскому, то есть взрослых, в Индонезии несколько лет, или парочку лет. И я встретил мою жену там, в той самой школе, в которой я работал. Она была студенткой в этой школе, не в моем классе. Я должен это обозначить. I should point out. То есть я должен это обозначить. Просто студенткой в школе. И one day, то есть однажды в коридоре я шел на свой урок. А она бежала, через коридор, through the corridor, то есть через коридор, потому что она на тот момент опаздывала на свой урок. То есть she didn't used to be very punctual in those days. То есть не очень-то она была пунктуальна в те дни, то есть она постоянно опаздывала. And she crashed into me, то есть она врезалась в меня. И я, получается, я был на пути в свой класс, на урок. Поэтому я тогда тащил a whole load of things, то есть целую кучу вещей, и я уронил все мои книги, все мои бумаги, все мои ручки, and they went all over the floor. И все это покатилось по полу. Так, дальше он задается вопросом. И помогла ли она мне их поднять? Нет, она просто убежала, смеясь. Она думала, что это очень весело. Так, you could say it wasn't love at first sight. Можно так сказать, что это не была любовь с первого взгляда. Но мы стали друзьями после этого, и мы иногда, получается, в прошлом, то есть собирались попить чайку или пивка вместе. И после того, как мы побыли друзьями 3 года, we got together. То есть мы тут можно, так сказать, не соединились, стали встречаться, пусть в этом контексте это значит. Стали парнем и девушкой. И только после этого, и вот тогда, несколько лет спустя, we got engaged, то есть я сделал ей предложение, то есть имеется в виду, то есть сделал ей предложение, и затем мы поженились. И now we've been married for 12 years. А теперь мы уже в браке 12 лет. Вот такая вот аудиозапись. Part C. Look at 3 extracts from the listening. Answer the questions with a partner or with yourself. I used to be a teacher. She didn't used to be very punctual. We sometimes used to have tea or a beer together. And some questions. Number 1. When do we use used to? How do we make questions? Are these things probably true now? Actually, look, this grammar isn't new for you, as we did it in the pre-intermediate course. Try to remember and explain it to yourself. Let's check it. 1. When do we use used to? How do we make questions? We use used to talk about past habits or situations that happened regularly or were true for a period in the past, but they are not true now. What about questions? It's simple. It's like did plus subject plus used to plus base verb. For example, did she used to be your friend? And there is an important thing, we use it without D and the end in questions and negatives. Number 2. Are these things probably true now? I used to be a teacher, probably not true now, he's not a teacher now. She didn't used to be very punctual, probably not true now, now she's punctual or arrives on time. And we sometimes used to have tea or a beer together, probably not true now, they don't do this regularly anymore, or not at all. So, we use used to for things that were true in the past, but changed. If they were still true now, we would use the present simple. For example, I am a teacher, we sometimes have tea together, and something like that. Okay, now move on. Listen to the examples before we dive into the grammar part.
5.16. 1.
I used to teach English when I was living abroad.
He didn't used to do any exercise, but now he runs marathons.
I never used to like football, but I watch it every week now.
We used to be close friends, but we don't talk to each other anymore.
That hotel used to have a swimming pool, but they closed it.
Did they used to live in the city centre? Didn't you used to have long hair?
2.
I usually meet my friends at weekends.
I don't normally go out during the week.
English houses usually have gardens.
Do you normally walk to work?
Okay, let me read these rules out loud. Past and present habits and states. 1. For past habits and states, we use used to, didn't used to plus infinitive. Used to doesn't exist in the present tense. So you can't say, I used to get up at 8 during the week. No, we say usually instead of that. We use used to for things that were true over a period of time in the past, and used to refers to something which is not true now. Like, I used to do a lot of sport, it means I did a lot of sport for a period of time in the past, but now I don't do it. We often use never used to instead of didn't used to. Oh, it's very common. Used to, didn't used to can be used with action verbs. For example, go, do, and non-action verbs be, have, actually with all verbs. So relax about that. We can also use the past simple to describe past habits, often with an adverb of frequency. Yeah, so we often went to France for our holidays when I was a child. So it's okay to say like that. And you can say we used to go to France, or we often went to France. Actually, technically it's the same. Number 2. For present habits, we use a verb in the present simple, often with an adverb of frequency, for example, usually or normally. I think it's clear. Next part is this, used to or past simple. We can use used to or the past simple, often with an adverb of frequency for repeated actions or states, and the meaning is the same. I used to live in Leeds as a child. I lived in Leeds as a child. We used to go to the cinema on Saturdays. We often went to the cinema on Saturdays. But we have to use the past simple if we mention exact dates or number of times the action happened only once. For example, we went to the cinema on Saturday. Here is only one option, the past simple. Any more and any longer. We often use not anymore, any longer, not now, with the present simple to contrast with used to. I used to go to the gym, but I don't go anymore. But I don't go any longer. Be used to and get used to, the final part here. Don't confuse used to and didn't used to with be used to or get used to doing something. I'm used to getting up early every day, so I'm accustomed to it. I always do it, so it's not a problem for me. Lola can't get used to living in the UK. She can't get accustomed to it. It's a problem for her. Okay, look, what I suppose we need to do. Now let's dive into this and read some more clear explanations together. Past habits. Used to, didn't used to. We use used to for things that happened regularly or were true for some time in the past, but not now. Examples. I used to play the piano when I was a child. Now I don't. She didn't used to like coffee. Now she does. Now she likes it. And making questions. Did you used to have a pet? For present habits, usually, normally, plus present simple. For habits now, we use usually, normally with the present simple. This is still part of the present simple, it just shows how often something happens. I usually meet my friends on Fridays. He doesn't normally eat meat. While this part can feel confusing, you might think usually normally belong only to the present simple. Yes, they do. But in this unit we compare them with used to show the difference between past and present habits. And that's all. It is just a useful way to connect past and present when talking about routines. 3. Can't I just use past simple instead of used to? Yes, very often you can. We can use past simple, often with words like often, always, to talk about repeated actions in the past. We often went to the beach when I was a kid. So why use used to at all? You use used to when you want to emphasize that something is not true now. Like, I used to live in Madrid. I don't live there now. Talk about long periods or situations in the past. He used to be very shy. Or contrast past and present clearly. I used to hate vegetables, but now I love them. 4. Watch out for common mistakes. I used to go to the gym. Wrong. Used to does not exist in the present tense. So here you use only I usually go to the gym, present habit, or I used to go to the gym, past habit, not now. She didn't used to smoke, wrong spelling in negative. So you see, we don't use D there. She didn't used to smoke. That is the correct version. Did she used to work here? Wrong questions. You see, like, did she used to work here? Again, no D here. I am used to get up early. Here we confuse two different structures. You can either say, I used to get up early, it's past habit, or I am used to getting up early, I'm accustomed to it now. Different meaning. It's not the same. And now a quick note about be used to and get used to. These are different grammar points. I am used to cold weather. I am accustomed to it. It's okay for me. She can't get used to working at night. She can't become accustomed to it. They are more advanced and kind of involve verb plus ing. So as you can see here, these structures. And you will study them properly in the upper intermediate course. For now, just remember, used to plus verb, past habit. Don't mix it with be or get used to doing something. And kind of a quick summary. Let's take a look. So past habits, used to, didn't used to, did used to, often contrasts with not anymore. And present habits, usually plus present simple, don't normally or don't usually plus verb, do you usually, it just describes current routine. And that's all for now. Now let's move on. And now I'm going to translate these rules into Russian, so if you don't need this part, skip it and go straight to grammar exercises. Теперь давайте пробежимся по правилам привычки в прошлом или привычки в настоящем. Так, я обучал английскому, когда я жил за границей. Он не очень-то делал много физической активности, но теперь он бегает марафоны. Я никогда раньше не любил футбол, но я смотрю теперь каждую неделю. Когда-то мы были близкими друзьями, но мы не разговариваем друг с другом больше. В этом отеле, раньше был бассейн, но они закрыли его. А они раньше жили в центре города. А разве у тебя не было раньше длинные волосы? Это, соответственно, такие привычки и состояния в прошлом. А это в настоящем. Я обычно встречаюсь с своими друзьями по выходным. Или я обычно не хожу гулять в течение недели по будням. Вот это normally, usually, они здесь синонимы. Это не как слово нормально переводится, это как слово обычно. То есть что usually, что normally, это обычно. Так, английские дома обычно имеют сады. Или огороды. Или, а ты у нас обычно ходишь пешком до работы? Итак, смотрим. Теперь что к чему. Для привычек в прошлом или состояний в прошлом мы используем used to, didn't used to и инфинитив. Инфинитив, то есть имеется в виду вот он. То есть to work, to teach, to do, to like и так далее. То есть это частичка to плюс слово. Used to не существует в настоящем времени. То есть нельзя говорить о used to, здесь такого нет. Это только для прошлого. Мы используем used to для вещей, которые были правдивыми какой-то период времени в прошлом. И used to часто относится к тому, что сейчас является неправдой или сейчас так не происходит. То есть I used to do a lot of sport, когда человек так говорит, он говорит, раньше я занимался спортом, то есть я занимался спортом какой-то период времени в прошлом, но теперь я этого не делаю. Мы часто используем never и used to вместо didn't used to. То есть иногда такое, то есть я никогда не любил что-то там делать. Так, used to и didn't used to тоже могут быть использованы с как и глаголами действия, то есть go, do, jump и так далее, так и глаголами состояния. То есть be, have, believe, want и так далее. То есть тут без разницы можно и те использовать. Зачем это выносить? Ладно. Короче, вот это можно даже не обращать на это внимания. Мы также можем использовать прошлое время, чтобы описывать прошлые привычки, но часто идет какое-нибудь наречие частотности. То есть мы, обычный past simple можем ставить, то есть we often went to France for our holidays when I was a child. Так тоже можно говорить, и это окей. То есть можно и так, и так. Дальше. А для привычек в настоящем мы используем глагол в present simple, часто с наречием частотности, например, обычно или обычно. Они так и так переводятся. Теперь по нюансам. Соответственно, зачем нам used to, когда у нас есть обычный past simple? Мы можем использовать used to, получается, или past simple, часто с наречием частотности, для каких-то повторяющихся действий или состояний, а значение остается тем же самым. То есть, что вот это я раньше жил в Лидсе, когда был ребенком, что вот это я жил в Лидсе, когда был ребенком. Или мы ходили в кинотеатр по субботам, или мы часто ходили в кинотеатр по субботам. Единственное, что мы вынуждены, мы должны использовать past simple, если мы упоминаем какие-то точные даты или номер раз, когда это происходит. То есть yesterday уже никакого used to не будет. Или действие вообще случилось только один раз. То есть мы пошли в кинотеатр в субботу. Это не про привычку, поэтому used to здесь уже никак не подойдет. Есть такие слова еще anymore и any longer, они так у нас используются для контраста. То есть мы часто используем вот эти слова с present simple, чтобы контрастировать с used to. Имеется в виду, раньше я ходил в зал, но теперь я туда больше не хожу. Что вот anymore, any longer можно переводить как «я больше этого не делаю». И есть такие конструкции, здесь сразу обозначить, что мы с ними будем работать еще не скоро, это в курсе Upper Intermediate, они тоже существуют, и они переводятся как, то есть привыкнуть к чему-то. То есть не путайте used to, didn't used to, вот эти вот привычки с be used to or get used to doing something. Во-первых, там идет инговое окончание, не инфинитив, как used to, так еще и глагол to be или get. Это уже переводится как «я привык», то есть I'm used to getting up early every day. То есть я к этому привык, я всегда так делаю, и это для меня не проблема. Так, или, например, Лола не может привыкнуть к жизни в Великобритании. Она никак не может привыкнуть к этому, и это для нее проблема. Это другие конструкции разбираются отдельно, и они ничего общего вот с обычным used to, который мы сегодня будем разбирать, не имеют. То есть used to — это привычки в прошлом, а be used to, get used to — это привыкнуть к чему-то, то есть стать нормальным для вас. Ну и так, давайте с вами, наверное, переходить к упражнениям. Grammar practice, grammar exercises, part A. Here, look at each sentence. Some sentences have a highlighted verb form, like used to. Decide if the verb form correct or wrong. And if it is wrong, write the correct form. For example, when I was a teenager, I used to have very short hair. You see, it's not correct here. We need to use used to have with D at the end. So, and part B, complete each sentence using used to plus infinitive. For past habits, something true in the past but not now. My brother didn't used to eat vegetables. Or usually plus present simple. For present habits, something true now, like I usually walk to work. And choose a verb from the list to fill the gap. Kind of argue, be, eat out, get on, go, have, play, speak, watch, and work. And by the way, pay attention to this. If the sentence talks about now, nowadays, these days, use usually plus present simple. If it talks about the past, for example, when I was, before, you use used to plus verb. And look for time clues like now, but now, nowadays, before, when I was, in the past, and so on. Okay, actually, good luck. Do these exercises and then check yourself. Today we are lucky. These exercises are very easy. But let's take a look. Are the highlighted verb forms right or wrong? Correct the wrong ones. When I was a teenager, I used to have very short hair. We need to use D here. Used to have. 1. I didn't used to like my math teacher when I was at school. You know, it's incorrect because I didn't used to. So we don't put D at the end in negative and questions. Do you usually tell close friends about your problems? It's correct. My sister never didn't used to want children, but now she's got 4. Look, it's a double negative sentence. In English, it's not right to use such a thing. Never is negative, so here we need to say something. No, it's incorrect. So never used to want. 4. How used to you to keep in touch in the days before the internet? Look, it's already not correct because it's a question. So how did you use to keep in touch? How did you use to keep in touch? It's a question form. So that's why. They used to go on holiday together every winter because they all love skiing. Look, you see there is a thing. Love, not loved. Yes? So it's in the present. We need just present simple here. Like they usually go on holiday together every winter because they all love skiing. So they still do this. It's not the past habit. Number 6. That couple have 3 kids, so they don't usually go out at night. It's the present habit, so it's correct. Number 7. Did your parents used to meet each other at university? Look, there is a thing. It's about an action that happened only once. They met each other only once, and then they kind of got to know each other. Here we use just usual, not usual, kind of the past simple. Did your parents meet each other at university? So it's not like dating. We don't use this word for it. It just, they started knowing each other, so to speak. Did your parents meet at university? 8. My husband used to work for a bank, but now he's unemployed. Here is an incorrect spelling. We just use kind of used to work. We love the theater. Nowadays, we used to go to a play at least once a month. Again, it's a present habit, so we just put here we usually go. Yes, we usually go to a play at least once a month. Now, let's read the answer keys, yeah? When I was a teenager, I used to have very short hair. I didn't used to like my math teacher when I was at school. Do you usually tell close friends about your problems? My sister never used to want children, but now she's got 4. How did you used to keep in touch in the days before the internet? They usually go on holiday together every winter because they all love skiing. That couple have 3 kids, so they don't usually go out at night. Did your parents meet each other at university? My husband used to work for a bank, but now he's unemployed. We love the theater. Nowadays, we usually go to a play at least once a month. So here we go. Now, the next exercise. Let's do this one. I need to zoom it out a little bit. Part B. Complete with used to plus infinitive or usually plus present simple, affirmative, negative, or question form, and a verb from the list. Argue, be, eat, eat out, get on, go, have, play, speak, watch, and work. My brother didn't used to eat vegetables, but now he loves them. It's a contrast here. We, a lot in common, but now we are completely different. So here it's easy. We used to have a lot in common, but now we are completely different. Next is number 2. To bed early during the week because we have to get up at 6 a.m. It's the present habit, so we usually go to bed early during the week because we have to get up at 6 a.m. 3. TV on my phone, but now I often do. It's like I didn't used to watch TV on my phone, but now I often do it. Yes? Yeah, so something like that. Next is, you football on Sunday mornings? Could I join you next weekend? It's about the present habit, yes? So do you usually play football on Sunday mornings? Could I join you next weekend? Play, yes, we have play, yeah. They love sushi, so they in Japanese restaurants. Eat out, yes? They love, and they still love it. So it's a present habit. So they usually eat out in Japanese restaurants. So next, before he got the job in the bank. It's a past habit. Where did your husband used to work before he got the job in the bank? My sister has lost a lot of weight. She never... You so slim. She never used to be so slim, I think. Used to be, yeah. Now, a lot with your parents when you were a teenager. Again, it's about the past. So, did you used to... A lot with your parents. Argue, yes. Did you used to argue a lot with your parents when you were a teenager? 9. Laura really well with her flatmates, but they occasionally argue about housework. So it's in the present. Laura usually gets on, I think. Laura usually gets on really well with your flatmates, yeah? And you can ask, why? Why S at the end? Because it's she. Remember, like she goes, she does, she just the present simple. Laura usually gets on really well. My ex-boyfriend to me, but now he calls me quite often. Didn't used to call? Yes. Have, work, watch, speak. My ex-boyfriend didn't used to speak to me, but now he calls me quite often. That makes sense. Now let's read all of these. My brother didn't used to eat vegetables, but now he loves them. We used to have a lot in common, but now we are completely different. We usually go to bed early during the week because we have to get up at 6 a.m. I didn't used to watch TV on my phone, but now I often do. Do you usually play football on Sunday mornings? Could I join you next weekend? They love sushi, so they usually eat out in Japanese restaurants. Where did your husband used to work before he got the job in the bank? My sister has lost a lot of weight. She never used to be so slim. Did you used to argue a lot with your parents when you were a teenager? Laura usually gets on really well with her flatmates, but they occasionally argue about housework. My ex-boyfriend didn't used to speak to me, but now he calls me quite often. So here we go. Argue, be, eat out, get on, go, have, play, speak, watch, and work. Yeah, everything's fine. Now let's do even more exercises. Actually, to be precise, there is only one more exercise to do. This is an extra grammar practice task to help you use used to and present simple plus usually more naturally. So what to do? Look at the chart. It compares the past and now for the same couple, Thomas and Lucy. The left column shows their life in the past, the right column shows their life now. Use the information to make 10 sentences. In each sentence, use used to for their past habits or situation and present simple for their present habits or situations. Add usually if it fits. For example, for habits that happen regularly now. And there is an example given. They used to be university students, but now he's a photographer and she's a journalist. And for sentence 2, see past home Paris, France, and now home Chicago, the USA. So, you do what? They used to live in Paris, but now they live in Chicago. And so you do it like this, all 10 sentences. So good luck with it, do it, and check. Look, if you don't mind, I'll do it orally, because I don't have a space to write. So number 1 has been already done for us, like they used to be university students, but now he's a photographer and she's a journalist. Next is, they used to live in Paris, in France, but now they live in Chicago, the USA. Eating habits, yeah? They used to order takeaway food, or they used to eat takeaway food, but now they eat, or they have, or they order homemade food. Or usually, yes, but now they usually eat homemade food. House. They used to live in a house with friends, but now they live in a penthouse flat with their dog. Go camping. They used to go camping, but now they usually stay in 5-star hotels. They didn't used to play sport, but now they both cycle at the weekend. And Thomas often plays golf. Vehicle. They used to ride bikes, but now they drive a sports car. They used to buy second-hand clothes, but now they wear or they buy designer clothes. Weekends. They used to get up late and they used to go out at night with friends, but now they usually stay in, they usually cook and watch TV. They used to have a lot of friends, or they used to have lots of friends, but now they have just a few close ones. It's something like that. This was designed to contrast it kind of past and present. So how much they have changed. We've seen it right now. Okay, I hope you get the main idea. Now let's move on and practice a little bit. Part number 3, pronunciation and speaking. The letter S, used to. A. Listen to the sounds and the words in the list. How is S or SE pronounced? Write the words in the correct columns. Okay, so listen to the sounds and words. Focus on the letter S or SE in each word. Write each word in the correct column based on how the S sounds. And there are actually 4 sounds. S like in snake, Z like in zebra, Sh like in shower, and J like in television. Read them out loud, decide which column is right for the word, put it, and listen and check.
5.17.
S, Z, Sh, J.
Used to.
Usually.
Use.
Busy.
Decision.
Friends.
Holidays.
Lose.
Music.
Occasion.
Parents.
Practice.
Singer.
Sport.
Sugar.
Summer.
Supermarket.
Sure.
Unusual.
$5.18.
Snake. S. Used to. Parents. Practice. Singer. Sport. Summer. Supermarket.
Zebra. Z. Use. Busy. Friends. Holidays. Lose. Music.
Shower. Sh. Sugar. Sure.
Television. Je. Usually. Decision. Occasion. Unusual.
Part C. Answer with a partner. 1. How is S usually pronounced at the beginning of a word? What are the 2 exceptions? Number 2. What 2 ways can S be pronounced at the end of a word? Number 3. How is S pronounced in vowel plus S, E, suffix. Oh, this part can be a little tricky. Not a little, actually, it's tricky. Don't worry if you're not sure. English pronunciation rules actually have many exceptions. Try to answer the questions. If you find it confusing, it's completely fine. Do skip it and just focus on listening and repeating the sounds. The most important thing is that you can hear the difference and practice saying the words. So relax and give it a try, but remember it's okay if it's challenging. Now let's take a look. 1. How is S usually pronounced at the beginning of a word? What are the two exceptions? At the start of a word, S is usually pronounced kind of S, like in sun or sea. And there are two exceptions. It's sugar and sure. Here, S sounds like sh, like in shower. Number 2. What two ways can S be pronounced at the end of a word? At the end of a word, S can sound like s, unvoiced like in cats, and z, voiced like in dogs or friends. And number 3, how is S pronounced in vowel plus S-I-O-N suffix? In words ending in S-I-O-N suffix after a vowel, for example, decision, occasion, S is pronounced j, like in television or measure. So actually that's all for here. Now let's move on. Part D. Listen to 5 sentences, write them down. Then practice saying the sentences aloud. Just a small dictation as usually.
5.19. 1,
I'm sure you used to take sugar in your tea.
2,
She didn't used to like classical music, but now she loves it.
3,
We used to stay with my parents' friends in the summer holidays.
4,
Did you used to use your car more?
5,
The singer usually practices for 6 hours a day.
5.19. 1,
I'm sure you used to take sugar in your tea.
2,
She didn't used to like classical music, but now she loves it.
3,
We used to stay with my parents' friends in the summer holidays.
4,
Did you used to use your car more?
5,
The singer usually practices for 6 hours a day.
Part E. In pairs, tell each other about 2 of the following. Give as much information as you can. But we are going to do everything. Let me say something first. Past and present habits. When you were young, what did you used to have for breakfast? What do you usually have now? Okay, I didn't used to have breakfast at all. Maybe just a cup of sweet tea and a sandwich was enough. No eggs, porridge or anything like that. Then when I turned 20, I started having serious stomach problems and I had to take medicine. And I couldn't take my pills on an empty stomach. It's a problematic thing. So I had to eat something. And I've been having breakfast ever since. Now I usually have a big, nice breakfast. It helps me not feel hungry during the day, and I really enjoy it, by the way. And it's hard to say exactly what I have, because I just eat whatever I can find in the fridge. I basically split my lunch into 2 parts, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So my breakfast is technically my morning lunch. Something like that. Okay, next. What music did you used to listen to a lot? What do you usually listen to nowadays? That's a good question, by the way. I used to listen to Rammstein, Linkin Park, heavy metal, kinds of music that I now find terrible for my ears. I only listened to it because I thought it would give me, some social points with my classmates. I didn't really like it, actually. Now I mostly listen to rap with strong lyrics and rhymes, and I don't care as much about the melody itself. I care about the story in the song. A rhymed story. I really like it. But I should mention, I'm not a fan of music in general. It's the last thing I want to do in my free time. I only use it for exercising, like, working out or going for a walk. Next question. What books or comics did you used to read? What do you usually read now? I didn't used to read any books, actually. Like a typical teenager, I hated reading. I thought it was for, nerds. But that has changed. I read books in Russian, English, and German. I would say I prefer literature that's full of dialogues. I don't know. I like reading how people talk to each other. So in Russian I read classical literature. In English I read something for fun. And in German I read books that are full of philosophy, struggles, deep stuff, German things. There is a tradition there of thinking and suffering from overthinking. Something like this. And next stuff. Where did you used to spend your summer holidays? What do you usually do now in the summer? I used to stay at home and enjoy my holidays in front of my computer screen. Now in the summer, I usually work because I'm an adult and I have to care for my family and provide for them. I think something like that. Yeah, unfortunately, most summer I work. Next up, is there a friend you used to be really close to but don't see anymore? Yeah, definitely. I used to be really close to 4 people. They were my best friends at different periods of my life, but they all moved away from our hometown, but I decided to stay. That's why we don't see each other anymore. We all work, and days off are too short to visit old friends. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. Is there a TV program you used to be addicted to? What kind of programs do you usually watch now? Oh, by the way, I used to watch South Park a lot. It was my favorite TV show ever. Actually, it was the first show I could watch in English and understand most of what the characters were saying. And I stopped watching because the last few seasons weren't interesting at all. Nowadays, I usually watch podcasts and interviews. Next, is there a machine or device you used to use a lot but don't use anymore? What apps or devices do you usually use now to communicate with your friends? I used to use my MP3 player a lot. It was small and really comfortable for exercising and sports. I used it every day, or I used to use it every day, but now I don't need it anymore. Speaking of apps or devices I usually use, we all use Telegram, I think. It's the best app ever for communication. Next up. Is there a sport or game you used to play a lot but which you've given up? What exercise do you do nowadays? Oh, that's a big one for me. I used to do parkour a lot, every day for 10 years. It was it was a lifestyle. I did tricks, flips, climbed things, and it gave me an amazing teenagehood, let's call it like this. I had a great hobby, made lots of friends, and it was easy to socialize. I gave it up because it's hard to do it alone. You really need teammates. You need that, healthy competition, that pushes your limits and motivates you to keep going. And when you're alone, You stop taking risks and there is no point in trying to do something amazing, something like that. So I have given it up. Nowadays I exercise a lot with kettlebells and I walk a lot, and that's all. Okay, now it's your turn. Speak. Part 4. Vocabulary. Relationships. A. Match the words and photos. A colleague. Argue with somebody. Discuss something with somebody. Meet somebody for the first time. Know somebody for a long time. Okay, this is a warm-up activity before we start the main vocabulary section. Look at the photos and the list of phrases, match each phrase to the photo you think it represents, and this is just to get you thinking about relationship vocabulary, so warming up purposes. Part number 1. People. Match the words and definitions. Classmate, close friend, colleague, couple, ex, fiancé, flatmate, partner. Then listening check. Okay, so there are kind of some words, there are definitions, so can you match them, then listen and check and learn the words.
.20 Relationships 1. People 1.
Couple. Two people who are married or in a romantic relationship.
2.
Partner. Your husband, wife, boyfriend or girlfriend.
3.
Fiancé. The person that you are engaged to be married to.
4.
Flatmate. A person that you share a flat with.
5.
Colleague. A person that you work with.
6.
Ex. A person that you used to have a relationship with.
7.
Close friend. A very good friend that you can talk to about anything.
8.
Classmate. A person who's in the same class as you at school or college.
Part 2. Verb phrases. A. Complete the sentences with a verb or verb phrase in the past tense. Be together, become friends, break up, get in touch, get married, get on, get to know, go out together, have something in common, lose touch, meet, propose. Oh, and there is a story. Look, In this task, you will complete a story about relationship. Use the verbs and verb phrases from the box. And you need to put the verbs into the past simple tense, so be careful with it. And fill in the blanks in sentences 2-10. And look, this task can be tricky because the story is in order, but some phrases have very similar meanings. So you will need to think carefully about the logical sequence of a relationship, like meeting, becoming friends, falling in love, breaking up, and so on. And don't worry if it feels difficult. It's okay if you get some or even all answers here wrong for the first time. The goal here is not to be perfect immediately, it's just to learn the vocabulary. So just do your best, and afterwards, when we check the answers, focus on understanding what each phrase means and how it is used in real story. Be patient, you will learn these useful expressions step by step.
(5.21) 2. Verb phrases. 1.
I met Mark when I was studying at York University.
2.
We got to know each other quickly because we went to the same classes.
3.
We soon became friends, and we discovered that we had a lot in common. For example, we both liked art and music.
4.
We went out together in our second term, and we fell in love.
5.
We were together for 2 years, but we argued a lot, and in our last term at university, we broke up.
6.
After we left university, we lost touch because I moved to London and he stayed in York.
7.
5 years later, we got in touch again on Facebook. We were both still single, and Mark had moved to London too.
8.
This time we got on better than before, maybe because we were older.
9.
After 2 months, Mark proposed, and I accepted.
10.
We got married last summer. A lot of our old university friends came to the wedding.
So, there is an exercise for checking vocabulary. Read the stories and complete them with the correct format of verbs from the list. Remember to use the past simple again. Be, become, feel, get in touch, get on, leave, lose touch, and meet. Meet has been already done. Okay, there are 3 stories, 7 gaps to fill. Work with it, then listen and check. My best friend at school. I first met Ruth on my first day at primary school. We both felt very lost and afraid, but we soon became best friends. We got on very well from the start because we liked playing the same games together. We were Best friends for over 15 years at both primary and secondary school. But unfortunately, we lost touch when we left school to go to university. Recently, I found her on Facebook and I sent her a message. She got in touch and we are going to meet up again after all these years. My parents. My dad says that as soon as he saw my mom, he fell in love with her. My mom says that after a couple of months, when she'd got to know my dad, she felt the same. I don't know if that's true or not, but what I do know is that they went out together for 7 months before he proposed to her at the Santiago Bernabeu football stadium while they were watching a match. My mom said yes, and they got married in 1967 in Madrid. They celebrated their golden wedding anniversary last year and are still incredibly happy together. My disastrous date. In the summer of 2015, I just split up with my boyfriend, and a colleague introduced me to Paul, his flatmate, at a bar. He was very good looking and I really fancied him. At the end of the evening, he asked me for my phone number, so I gave it to him. I was really happy when he got in touch with me the next day and asked me out for dinner. Unfortunately, the date was a bit of a disaster, because although he was attractive, we really didn't get on. During the meal, I found out that we had absolutely nothing in common. Of course, we never had a second date. Part C. Think of one of your close friends. Ask and answer the questions with a partner. Okay, let's do it together. I'll talk about my friend. I'll call him he. I don't want to use his name. How long have you known him? I've known him since 2009. It's quite a long time. I think it's been 15 years now. Yeah, it's about that. Where did you meet? We met online. As I mentioned earlier, I was doing parkour at the time, and he texted me something like, "Oh, that's cool. There are other people doing parkour in our town. Let's meet up and train together." And then we arranged our first training session. Next is, why do you get on well? Mostly because of stupid jokes. I think that was the main reason we became friends, and it's still the same now. What do you have in common? We both did sport, we were into rap music, making videos, and we always had topics to talk about, and we still have these topics to talk about, so we have a lot in common. Next is, do you ever argue? What about? That's a tricky one. We have never had a serious argument, but actually we argue all the time, but it's more like a sport, debates for fun. It's not serious. Next is, how often do you see each other? Probably once every 2 months. We are both busy, so it's hard to meet more often. How do you keep in touch? Calling and texting. That's the usual way. Have you ever lost touch? Why? When? No, we haven't actually. So, look, if you're going to answer this, you could say something like, we lost touch when, for example, we argued about other friends, I stopped texting him, her, because I was disappointed, and so on. So I'll try to explain briefly. And finally, do you think you'll stay friends? Yeah, I think so. Why not? We'll keep in touch anyway. It's funny that we've argued so much just for fun that I think now it's impossible for one of us to say or do something that would really offend the other person and make us stop talking. Something like that. So now what about you? Can you talk about one of your friends? Answer these questions. Parts D and E. What four letters can you put after these people words to form an abstract noun? It's a suffix, one for each of these words. Friend, leader, member, partner, relation, And then, with these freshly created words, complete the sentences with an abstract noun from D. Look, these can be a little confusing if you haven't seen this word ending before. That's normal. Try your best to guess the suffix and fill in the gaps, but don't worry if it's tricky. The important thing is that you will learn these useful words when we go through the answers together afterward. Part listening. Look, you're going to listen to a radio show where they mention surprising facts about friendship. Your first task will be easy, you just listen, complete these facts. And I think the task is clear, so listen, complete, and then check.
5.22.
You're listening to Radio Oxford and I'm Ricky Hammond.
And I'm Joanna Keys.
Now, I wonder how many of you know what today is. Well, it's Friendship Day. All over the world today, people are celebrating those wonderful people called friends. We've been doing some research this morning about friends and we've discovered 5 fascinating facts about friends for you. Just listen to these. Joanna?
Friends fact number 1. Animals have friends too. Yes, apparently, we humans aren't the only ones who have friends. There's strong evidence that animals like chimpanzees, horses, elephants, dolphins, and even bats can form friendships for life. And they even make friends with animals that aren't from their species.
Friends fact number 2. We have more real friends thanks to social media. You may find this hard to believe, but since the invention of the internet, and especially since social media came on the scene, we actually have more real-world friends than before. People always say we're so busy with our online friends that we don't have time for our real friends. But in fact, the opposite is true. A doctor in psychology at Sheffield Hallam University has done some research that shows that the internet actually helps us to keep up friendships. And why is that? Because with social media, it's easier to stay in touch. In the past, we used to lose touch with friends because of distance or lack of time, so now you know.
Friends fact number 3. Having friends at work makes you more productive. Now, you probably think that if you have lots of friends at work, you waste a lot of time gossiping with them. Well, listen to this. According to various studies, having friends at work makes you more productive and more creative. And I can believe that because, if you have friends at work, you're going to be happier, which in turn probably makes you work better. Just one thing though, don't be friends with your boss. That might make your colleagues trust you less, and they might think you got your job because of your friendship.
Friends fact number 4. Love can make you lose 2 friends. Yep. It's a sad fact that you can lose 2 friends when you fall in love. According to the anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who's studied the effect that love has on friendship, when a new person comes into your life, he, or she of course, displaces 2 other people in your circle of friends. He says that when you're in love, you spend less time with your friends, and this means that friendships deteriorate. And you know something? From my experience, that's true.
Friends fact number 5. So this is the last one, And it's good news. Friendship is good for your health. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. People who have a lot of friends are less stressed and live longer. Research shows that you are 50% more likely to have a long life if you have a good social network. So, now we're asking you to choose a song for a special friend. Call us or text us on 08081 570 892. The lines are open now, and our first caller is Mandy from Didcot.
Hi, Joanna. Can you play I'll Be There For You for my best friend? Her name's Annie, and I love her to bits. I really do.
Part C. Listen again and complete the chart. For Fact 1, some examples. Which animals can form a friendship? For Fact 2, the reason why social media helps us with it. For Fact 3, also the reason and the exception, so there is one person you shouldn't be friends with. For Fact 4, just the reason why. And for Fact 5, the reason and a statistic. Why, how much percent you're likely to. Okay, listen one more time and complete the chart. I think this task also is clear enough.
5.22.
You're listening to Radio Oxford and I'm Ricky Hammond.
And I'm Joanna Keys.
Now, I wonder how many of you know what today is. Well, it's Friendship Day. All over the world today, people are celebrating those wonderful people called friends. We've been doing some research this morning about friends, and we've discovered 5 fascinating facts about friends for you. Just listen to these. Joanna?
Friends fact number 1. Animals have friends too. Yes, apparently, we humans aren't the only ones who have friends. There's strong evidence that animals like chimpanzees, horses, elephants, dolphins, and even bats can form friendships for life. And they even make friends with animals that aren't from their species.
Friends fact number 2. We have more real friends thanks to social media. You may find this hard to believe, but since the invention of the internet, and especially since social media came on the scene, we actually have more real-world friends than before. People always say we're so busy with our online friends that we don't have time for our real friends. But in fact, the opposite is true. A doctor in psychology at Sheffield Hallam University has done some research that shows that the internet actually helps us to keep up friendships. And why is that? Because with social media, it's easier to stay in touch. In the past, we used to lose touch with friends because of distance or lack of time, so now you know.
Friends fact number 3. Having friends at work makes you more productive. Now, you probably think that if you have lots of friends at work, you waste a lot of time gossiping with them. Well, listen to this. According to various studies, having friends at work makes you more productive and more creative. And I can believe that because, if you have friends at work, you're going to be happier, which in turn probably makes you work better. Just one thing, though. Don't be friends with your boss. That might make your colleagues trust you less. And they might think you got your job because of your friendship.
Friends fact number 4. Love can make you lose 2 friends. Yep, it's a sad fact that you can lose 2 friends when you fall in love. According to the anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who's studied the effect that love has on friendship, when a new person comes into your life, he, or she of course, displaces 2 other people in your circle of friends. He says that when you're in love, you spend less time with your friends, and this means that friendships deteriorate. And you know something? From my experience, that's true.
Friends fact number 5. So this is the last one, and it's good news. Friendship is good for your health. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. People who have a lot of friends are less stressed and live longer. Research shows that you are 50% more likely to have a long life if you have a good social network. So, now we're asking you to choose a song for a special friend. Call us or text us on 08081 570 892. The lines are open now, and our first caller is Mandy from Didcot.
Hi, Joanna. Can you play I'll Be There For You for my best friend? Her name's Annie, and I love her to bits. I really do.
Now listen to it with the script, read it, check something you haven't heard, and we translate it.
5.22.
You're listening to Radio Oxford, and I'm Ricky Hammond.
And I'm Joanna Keys.
Now, I wonder how many of you know what today is. Well, it's Friendship Day. All over the world today, people are celebrating those wonderful people called friends. We've been doing some research this morning about friends, and we've discovered 5 fascinating facts about friends for you. Just listen to these. Joanna?
Friends fact number 1. Animals have friends too. Yes, apparently, we humans aren't the only ones who have friends. There's strong evidence that animals like chimpanzees, horses, elephants, dolphins, and even bats can form friendships for life. And they even make friends with animals that aren't from their species.
Friends fact number 2. We have more real friends thanks to social media. You may find this hard to believe, but since the invention of the internet, and especially since social media came on the scene, we actually have more real-world friends than before. People always say we're so busy with our online friends that we don't have time for our real friends. But in fact, the opposite is true. A doctor in psychology at Sheffield Hallam University has done some research that shows that the internet actually helps us to keep up friendships. And why is that? Because with social media, it's easier to stay in touch. In the past, we used to lose touch with friends because of distance or lack of time, so now you know.
Friends fact number 3. Having friends at work makes you more productive. Now, you probably think that if you have lots of friends at work, you waste a lot of time gossiping with them. Well, listen to this. According to various studies, having friends at work makes you more productive and more creative. And I can believe that because, if you have friends at work, you're going to be happier, which in turn probably makes you work better. Just one thing though, don't be friends with your boss. That might make your colleagues trust you less. And they might think you got your job because of your friendship.
Friends fact number 4. Love can make you lose 2 friends. Yep, it's a sad fact that you can lose 2 friends when you fall in love. According to the anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who's studied the effect that love has on friendship, when a new person comes into your life, he, or she of course, displaces 2 other people in your circle of friends. He says that when you're in love, you spend less time with your friends, and this means that friendships deteriorate. And you know something? From my experience, that's true.
Friends fact number 5. So this is the last one, and it's good news. Friendship is good for your health. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. People who have a lot of friends are less stressed and live longer. Research shows that you are 50% more likely to have a long life if you have a good social network. So, now we're asking you to choose a song for a special friend. Call us or text us on 08081 570 892. The lines are open now, and our first caller is Mandy from Didcot.
Hi, Joanna. Can you play I'll Be There For You for my best friend? Her name's Annie and I love her to bits. I really do.
Теперь переведем данный отрывок. Вы слушаете радио Оксфорд. Я Рики Хэммонд, а я Джоанна Киз. Итак, сейчас я задаюсь вопросом, I wonder, можно перевести как «я задаюсь вопросом», или «мне интересно, сколько из вас знают, что сегодня за день». Ну, это День дружбы, Friendship Day. Все по всему миру сегодня, то есть люди отмечают этих замечательных людей, которых мы называем друзьями. Да, странно звучит, но имеется в виду, как празднуют или отмечают. Ну, я думаю, здесь контекст понятен. Английский в этом плане иногда, конечно, дает жару. Так, мы, получается, сделали кое-какие исследования этим утром про друзей, и мы обнаружили 5 удивительных фактов про друзей для вас. Ну, просто послушайте, just listen to these, просто послушайте их. Джоанна, вот она говорит, факт про дружбу номер 1. Животные тоже имеют друзей. Да, по всей видимости, вот apparently, это по всей видимости мы, человеки, мы люди не единственные, то есть не единственные, у кого есть друзья. Есть очень сильное доказательство, что животные по типу шимпанзе, лошадей, слонов, дельфинов и даже летучие мыши могут формировать дружбу на целую жизнь. И они даже делают друзей, они даже заводят друзей с животными, которые не являются их видом, то есть еще и с другими видами. 4-й, получается, факт. Нет, не 4-й, 2-й. У нас больше, мы получили или у нас есть больше вот таких реально хороших друзей благодаря социальным сетям. Вы можете найти это тяжелым, чтобы поверить, или вам может быть трудно в это поверить, но с момента изобретения интернета и особенно социальных сетей, с момента, когда социальные сети came on the scene, то есть вышли на сцену, имеется в виду, стали функционировать, мы вообще-то имеем больше real world friends than before, то есть имеется в виду больше друзей в реальном мире, чем до этого. Люди всегда говорят, что мы так заняты с нашей рутиной. Нет. Люди всегда говорят, что мы так заняты с нашими онлайн-друзьями и что у нас нет времени на наших реальных друзей, то есть в жизни. Но в действительности правда противоположная. То есть доктор психологии в этом университете has done some research, по-моему, провел некоторые исследования. Да, исследования, которые показывают, что интернет вообще-то помогает нам сохранять отношения, то есть держать их в тонусе. И почему это так? Потому что с социальными сетями это легче оставаться на связи. В прошлом мы теряли связь с друзьями, потому что, из-за расстояния. То есть because of это из-за расстояния. А вот lack это отсутствие, нехватка. Или из-за нехватки времени. Вот теперь вы знаете. Дальше факт про друзей номер 3. То есть имение друзей, или когда у вас есть друзья на работе, это делает вас более продуктивным. Теперь вы, возможно, думаете, что если у вас много друзей на работе, вы попусту теряете время, обмениваясь слухами. Gossiping — это вообще сплетничать. Обмениваясь слухами с ними. Послушайте вот это. То есть, ссылаясь на различные исследования, когда у вас есть друзья на работе, это делает вас более продуктивным и более креативным. И я могу поверить в это, потому что, ты знаешь, если у тебя друзья на работе, ты будешь счастливее, что в свою очередь, возможно, заставит вас работать лучше. Только одна вещь, не будьте не будьте друзьями с вашим боссом. Это может, make your colleagues trust you less. Возможно, это заставит ваших коллег доверять вам меньше, и они могут подумать, что вы получили работу просто благодаря вашей дружбе. Какой-то странный здесь факт, ладно. Так, 4-й факт. Любовь может заставить вас потерять 2 друзей. Да, это очень грустный факт, что вы можете потерять 2 друзей, когда вы влюбляетесь. Ссылаясь на антрополога Робина Данбара, который изучил эффект, который любовь оказывает на дружбу. Когда новый человек приходит в вашу жизнь, он или она, конечно, заменяет two other people, то есть двух других людей в вашем кругу друзей. Он говорит, что когда вы влюблены, вы тратите меньше времени с вашими друзьями, а это означает, что, имеется в виду дружба deteriorate, то есть, дружба как бы не то чтобы деградирует, ухудшается, можно так сказать, или увядает, увядает. И вы знаете что-нибудь, and you know something from my experience, and you know, и, как бы тут перевести, он имеет в виду, что исходя из моего опыта, вот что-то, это вот правда. Так, вообще, and you know something from my experience, that's true. И знаете кое-что? Из моего опыта это правда, если вот так вот перевести. Так, факт 5. Друзья, факт 5. Итак, это вот последний. И хорошие новости. Дружба хороша для вашего здоровья. Это не важно. И причем это не важно, являетесь ли вы мужчиной или женщиной. Люди, которые имеют многих друзей, они имеют меньше стресса и живут дольше. Исследования показывают, что у вас на 50%, то есть больше шанс того, что у вас проживете более долгую жизнь, если у вас хорошая, если вы имеете a good social network, имеется в виду, выстроили себя какую-то сеть друзей, то есть имеется в виду людьми, с которыми пообщаться, повзаимодействовать, знакомые, друзья, то есть если у вас, наверное, широкий социальный круг или общественный круг, в котором вы крутитесь. Итак, теперь мы просим вас выбрать песню для какого-то особенного друга, или подруги. Позвоните нам, получается, на ТТТ, это просто номер, не думаю, что его стоит переводить. Ладно, то есть 08081570892. И так, это имеется в виду линия, или номер сейчас доступен, и наш первый звонящий — это Мэнди из этого места. Так, привет, Джоанна, а можешь ли ты сыграть или поставить, это скорее в этом контексте, поставить эту песню I'll be there for you. Название песни не всегда, а я буду там для тебя. Для моей лучшей подруги. Ее имя Энни, и I love her to bits, то есть я ее очень сильно люблю. Просто такое выражение здесь. Так, вот такая вот аудиозапись была. Давайте двигаться дальше. Pardon, from your experience, do you think these facts are true? I can't say it for sure, but in my experience, love has never damaged my friendships. No, I always had enough time for both my partner and my friends. As for having friends at work, well, I think it's good to have, one good friend at work, but the others should probably stay just colleagues and nothing more. I've heard a lot of stories where people ended up really disappointed by their work friends, so to speak. So I suppose it all depends on your own personal experience. Look, there is some sentence status for you. Just say something about this. Speaking. Debatable statements, my favorite type of speaking activities. Here you just say whether you agree, disagree, partly agree, and say why. So let's take a look at some vocabulary, but it doesn't mean that you have to use it. Presenting an opinion. Introducing the topic I'm going to talk about. Giving reasons. I think the most important reason is because that. Another reason is, and giving examples. For example, I have a friend who I've known since I was 5 years old, and for instance, when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, and so on. Okay, now I'm going to do this task. Then you will do the same. Remember, this is only my opinion. If yours is different, that's completely okay. Statement A. You can only have 2 or 3 close friends. You know what? I completely agree with this. The main reason is time. To have healthy real friendships, you need to pay attention to people, communicate and keep in touch. Yeah, it's impossible to have 10 close friends unless you don't work at all and your job is socializing. But that's not realistic. The perfect situation is to have 2 or 3 friends with different interests. That way you can share hobbies and talk about different things. Why not? Statement B. Going on holiday with friends can end the friendship. I'm not sure, actually. Most of my students agreed with this. Maybe it makes sense. I think I partly agree. You could be disappointed if you see a friend misbehave on holiday, and some friends might cause trouble, others might be useless with chores, dirty socks everywhere and so on. So I think it's better not to go on holiday with friends, and I prefer relaxing holidays. I don't like adventures. Statement C. Men keep their friends longer than women. I disagree. I think people who act sensibly and rationally can keep friends longer than others. You need, you need healthy boundaries. Sometimes it's okay to say no, sometimes it's okay to ask for help, sometimes you have to help. And if you understand why someone is your friend, you will keep the friendship. Gender, I think, doesn't decide that. Okay, statement D. You should never criticize your friends' partners. I disagree. If you see clearly that your friend's partner is bad for them, you should say something. Maybe not directly, but you should point out that something is wrong. I wouldn't criticize, their partner's appearance or personality, but I think you should criticize a negative influence. For example, if your friend starts smoking, drinking, or hanging out with dubious people because of their partner, you need to speak up. Or if your friend is always depressed because of the relationship, it should be discussed. So something like that. Statement E. It's impossible to stay good friends with an ex-partner. Yeah, debatable. I partly agree. Maybe not good friends, but neutral ones, without hate or bad feelings. I know some people who stayed friendly after breaking up, but there is a pattern. Their breakup was mutual, and both agreed to end it. They keep in touch and ask how each other are afterwards. But if the breakup was one-sided, only one person decided, then it's almost impossible to stay friends. So it's my opinion. And F. Statement F. It's impossible to be real friends with someone who is much older or much younger than you. This is debatable. It depends on what you mean by real friends. Personally, I agree because of my mindset. I can't be real friends with someone much older because I always show respect to older people, and that respect creates a barrier to friendship. If the person is much younger, I don't know, I'm a teacher and I can't resist helping and teaching younger people. I would be a good mentor, but not a real friend. So my mindset doesn't allow me to be friends with someone, let's say, 10 years older or younger than me. And J. Parents should never try to be friends with their children. Oh, everything that is related to kids is complicated. This is a very tricky topic. Okay, let me explain my point. Trying to be friends with your children could lead to one thing: they might lose respect for you. But if you're a typical obey me kind of parent, that's not right either. So you need to balance it. First, you have to maintain your status as a parent, and your child should acknowledge that. Then you must make sure your child trusts you and isn't afraid of you. It's very difficult, but, I partly agree with this statement. Now, it's your turn. Work through these statements. Now we are going to do a lot of speaking. One more task to go. It's simple, just answer the questions. Let me do it first. What things do you usually prefer doing with your friends? Oh, for me it's simple. We usually prefer going for walks and talking. Sometimes we go to kind of a hookah lounge or a coffee bar. Since I don't see my friends often, I really value that time. We use it, to catch up, share news and discuss all kinds of things. It's less about the activity, I think, more about staying connected. Next up, what things did you used to do with your parents but don't do anymore? We used to build snow castles and snowmen together. I think that's the only thing we don't do anymore. I hope my parents will do it again with their grandchildren someday, because it was a lot of fun actually, and a great way to spend time together. Next, are there any books you used to love when you were little? No, I didn't used to like reading at all as a child. I didn't have any favorite books back then. I only started enjoying reading much later in my teens or even as an adult. Okay, who do you usually phone when you have a problem? It depends. For serious problems, I call my father. For less serious ones, I call my mother. And for even smaller issues or just to kill some time, I might call my best friend. So each person has their own role in my support system. Next, what special places do you usually go to with your family? We don't really have any special places except maybe our summer house. That's where we often spend holidays together. It's more about, being together than the location itself. Okay, next, are there any films you used to love but don't like anymore? I'm not really into films. I never used to be. So there aren't any that come to my mind. Okay, what do you usually do on Sundays? You know what? It's simple. On Sundays, I have lessons from 9 a.m. to midnight. So I start work at 10 a.m. and finish late. Yeah, you could say it's crazy. It's about 12, 13 or 14 lessons sometimes, but I actually like Sundays because by the end I feel like I've really earned a good rest. I'm always happy and satisfied when the day is over. Next is, what used to be your favorite thing to eat as a child? My grandmother's soup, I think, made with sauerkraut. I don't remember how to pronounce this thing. It's made with cabbage. And it was amazing comfort food. I often miss it. It brings back really warm memories. Did you used to behave badly at school? What kinds of things did you do? No, I didn't. I was a pretty well-behaved child. The most serious thing I did was laugh quietly during classes, but nothing rebellious or disruptive. Next question. Are there any family members you used to visit a lot? I used to visit my grandma a lot until she passed away, until she died. I think that says enough. She was very special to me. Did you have a best friend at primary school? Yes, I did. We were really good friends at that time. Of course, we completely lost touch after that, but in primary school we had a lot of fun together. Okay, how do you usually get in touch with your friends? Via messengers, like most people do these days. It's just the easiest way to stay in touch when everyone is busy. Did you used to get on with your brothers, sisters, cousins where you were little? I didn't used to get on with my older brother at all. We argued about everything. Computers, open windows, snacks, you name it. Our relationship only improved when he moved out. So he left home. Now we get on pretty well. Who do you usually go out with at weekends? With my wife. I don't think I need to explain why. She's my favorite person to spend time with. How did you used to get in touch with your friends when you were a child? Via landline phones. If you remember those, you're officially old. You had to dial the number by rotating a circle with numbers like dring, 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 and it feels like ancient technology now. Next up, how often do you usually see your extended family? Aunts, cousins, etc. There is one exception. I see my aunt, who is actually my father's cousin, and her son quite often. We get on really well. But as for other relatives, or as for other extended family, maybe once a year or even less. Was there a song you used to love as a child? Crazy Frog? Why not? I don't know actually, but yeah, let's go with that. It was catchy and fun at the time. Okay, now it's your turn to say something about each question. Good luck. Let's take a look at your homework tasks.
.3 5B. Pronunciation. C. 1.
Where did you used to live?
2.
Did you used to wear glasses?
3.
They used to have a lot of money.
4.
He used to go to my school.
5.
We used to work together.
6.
You used to have long hair.
7.
We didn't used to get on.
8.
I didn't used to like it.
Теперь информация для тех, кто ищет разборы рабочих тетрадей, там, где выполнены все задания и даны мои комментарии. Заходите на любой урок по курсу Intermediate и переходите в описание. В описании первая ссылочка стоит у нас здесь Subscription to Boosty, Workbook Answer, Keys Here. Щелкайте на данную ссылочку и переходите на сайт Boosty. Далее производите регистрацию, то есть любым удобным способом. После этого вы можете оформить любую из данных подписок. В самой первой подписке Student разобраны рабочие тетради. После того, как вы подписываетесь, переходите в главное меню, где есть удобная навигация. Вот здесь English File Elementary, English File Pre-Intermediate, English File Intermediate. В принципе, то, что нам нужно. Щелкайте на данную ссылочку Workbook, вас переносит к данному посту. Там будут даны ссылки на видео с разборами рабочих тетрадей. Они будут постоянно обновляться, то есть выходит новый юнит, автоматически здесь появляются разборы и рабочие тетради. Это поможет вам лучше разобраться в домашней работе, ну а мне в свою очередь поможет продолжать выпускать данные видеоролики, потому что, ребят, честно, без вашей поддержки делать это очень-очень тяжело. Спасибо за внимание. Переходим к заключительному слову. Final word for Unit 5B. Hashtag #thewaywemet. Well done, you've reached the end of this unit. Throughout this lesson, you've explored how people meet, stay connected, and build relationships, whether romantic, friendly, or professional. You've practiced talking about past and present habits using used to and usually, learned key vocabulary for describing relationships, and shared your own experiences and opinions on friendship and love. Remember, used to helps you describe routines or situations in the past that are no longer true. Usually helps you talk about what you do regularly now. The pronunciation of S can vary, but with practice it becomes natural. And friendship, partnerships, and family ties are all shaped by how we meet, communicate, and grow together. Keep using this language in real life. Talk about how you met someone special, share a story about an old friend, or describe how your habits have changed over time. Language, lives in stories, and you now have the tools to tell yours more vividly, so to speak. Okay, great work. Keep building your confidence and your connections. And look, it would be nice if you support me by putting likes, subscribing to both YouTube and Telegram channels, and the best thing you can do is to subscribe on boosty.com, which allows me make more such wonderful lessons. Now, I think that's all for today. See you on the next video. Bye bye.